Welcome to a visit with Dr. Tara Harshaw. She is the Springdale Public Schools Director of Special Education. So Dr. Harshaw, you've done this for many years, but it's a little bit more unusual circumstances in the opening of school this year.
Good morning, Rick. It is not a little bit different. It's a whole lot different than what we have normally done, and it changes quite frequently from week to week, depending upon the news that we hear from the governor and our number of COVID cases in the state. And I am anticipating that will keep changing as we keep going. So we're just adjusting the plan as we go.
Well, we're going to ask you several questions that parents are interested in learning the answers. One of the first ones is about transportation for special ed students. Will that be similar to what it's been in the past?
It will be similar. All transportation, whether it's for a special education student or a general ed student, of course, if the parent can transport, that is going to be the safest way to transport your student instead of putting them on any kind of a school bus. But for the parents who cannot transport, the buses will be available. If the student has previously received specialized transportation due to medical issues or potential behavior issues, that will continue as normal. We have that list of kids just like we do every year and make arrangements for it. Our transportation team is working really hard to get that information out. And as far as bus routes, they are going to be cleaning the buses between routes, between runs. Just like normal, we will have kids coming at different times of the day. We will have students leaving at different times of the day. We've always done that. That has always been a part of special education transportation, specialized transportation. So that won't be new. The new part will consist of being the buses being cleaned and then students being required to wear the masks while they're on the bus, or the shields, whatever is out there available to them and whatever they're able to wear and tolerate.
And that leads us to a question about face coverings. About I assume they'll be required in schools just like they are for normal students, but not all of them can wear masks, can they?
Right. No, some students can't. We have had an extended school year the past 3 weeks, ended last week, and we have worked with a lot of students that came in and it qualified for services that had not been wearing masks, that by the end of the 3 weeks were wearing masks. So on some of it is just a training, to be able to train the students to get used to it. And sometimes they could wear them for 10 minutes at a time. Sometimes they could wear them for a whole hour. It's something that we started there and will continue in the classrooms. We will make the attempt, for all students to have some type of face covering and wear it, because we want them to be able to remain safe while they're in the classrooms and in the school buildings. There potentially could have a buff or potential mask. The school district is providing 2 per child. And there's also some shields that cover the face that are not as close up and invasive as the mask. However, I think CDC's latest guideline is even if you wear a shield, to wear a mask. So it's going to be a learning curve for everybody as far as how long a student can potentially wear a mask and tolerate it. And, the social distancing 6 feet apart as well.
Mm-hmm. 3 options in the Springdale School District, and why don't we talk about the first 2? You can either be in class all the time, or you can go virtually. For a parent of a special ed kid, can you talk about the advantages of each of those?
Well, the advantages of face-to-face, and I'm kind of an old school person, because like you mentioned earlier, I've been doing this a long time. It builds that relationship. It builds that connection. The student has that person physically right there to help them when they need help with academics, or if they're having emotional issues or whatever it is. There's nothing like having that person to be able to sit next to you or stand next to you to help you through that. And that's not just for special education students. That's just an advantage for all students. However, Springdale's very fortunate, and we've been doing this for a few years, to have virtual option through Don Tyson School of Innovation, and that looks very, very different from a brick and mortar face-to-face environment. Students will get their educational lessons from their Schoology or Edgenuity. There are teachers who do that, who are assigned as virtual teachers, and they have virtual English, and they have virtual math and science and social studies. So they get that virtually. And the good thing about through going through the School of Innovation is the fact that the student can pick that up at any time. If they want to pick it up at noon on a Saturday, they can go in and get that. If they want to do it at midnight on Friday night, they can do that. So if a parent has a work schedule and they can't be there to help them, with their work, or a sibling can't be there to help them with their work, then they can pick it up whenever they need to, or whenever somebody's there to help them. For the special education student, they will have the ability to, when they get to a point in whatever subject they're in, say it's math, and they do not understand, they don't get it, they will be able to contact the teacher, the classroom teacher, and email and set up a virtual office time. Those teachers will have set office times to set up some office times to visit with them. And in addition to being able to access the gen ed teacher and the teacher of that subject, they will also be able to access a special education teacher. There will be a special, just like a brick and mortar school, that student will have a special education teacher there to help them with modifications and accommodations and anything else that the student may need to get over the hump as far as learning whatever the academics are that they're not getting and need extra help with. So, are there disadvantages? Absolutely. You're not right there with somebody, but are there advantages? Sure. I mean, Saturday afternoon may be the only time you have. And so that's a huge advantage for people who work, and it's also an advantage because for medically fragile students who are not going to be able to come to school due to the potential of COVID and exposure to that, then this is a huge, huge advantage. And not everybody has this. So this is big, and Springdale's been doing it for several years. Last spring when we shut down, the kids who were already on virtual, they did not miss a beat. Those teachers did not miss a beat. And the same will happen this year. If a school has to shut down because of COVID exposure, School of Innovation virtual will just keep going on just like it's been going on.
Will IEP 504, would they be affected by distance learning?
They could be affected in minutes. In some ways, we have to look and see on each student will be looked at individually. And we have people right now, in fact, meeting in my office in the conference room that are going through each student who's applied, whose parents have applied, and we are looking to see what the student needs are. Things like speech and OT, occupational therapy, and physical therapy will all be provided virtually. And that means for the parents that they will have to be involved in some of this, as far as helping maybe the student if they have occupational therapy and they're trying to manipulate and move things around like they would do if they were here in person. The parents will have to be the ones to help the student do that. They'll have a virtual session with the occupational therapist or physical therapist or speech therapist, but this is where the family will come in and have to help support the student during that time.
Okay. We talked about two of the options. We should have talked even about the third. It's a blended option. Is there a way that a special ed student could benefit by that, say being in school either 2 or 3 days a week and virtual the rest of the week?
Sure. Blended option, they can come either Tuesday, Thursday, and they are home Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or they can come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and are home Tuesday, Thursday. The days that they are home, they are supposed to do the asynchronous learning, which is self-guided learning. However, since they are special education students, they have, it's a little bit different for them as far as what they, on that asynchronous learning because they can have the help of the special education teacher or potentially a special education aide or paraprofessional can set up a time and Zoom with the student to help get their minutes and to help them with the problems and the things that they have been given as far as work on the days that they are at school. So they, the special education end, they will still have their minutes served, and the people will still be there. We are looking right now to going potentially to monthly minutes on some IEPs just to help be able to better serve the students their minutes for the kids who take blended modeling, or the 2-day or the 3-day. Of course, the ideal would be for everybody to be able to come back. That's what we'd all love. That's what we'd all hope for. But in reality, this is our reality now. So we're preparing a lot for blended and virtual.
And as you're in the same position as the administrative staff team, things can change. The environment can improve, or we may have to go to all virtual. We just don't know that right now.
Absolutely. We were able to get through 3 weeks of extended school year services without having to shut it down, but we only took one kid at a time in a room. And that's the ideal situation, of course, that we can't do. But we also cleaned every room after the student left before the next student came in. The disinfectant was disinfecting the rooms and stuff was huge, wearing masks the whole time, and making sure that everybody was safe and tried to stay 6 feet apart if possible. But yeah, it could change at the drop of a hat. What we're calling this year as pivot, I think that's what we're referring to as pivot. We may pivot from in-person to remote learning in a matter of minutes.
That's right. You touched on this a little bit, but let me ask you again about how would virtual learning affect speech, occupational, and physical therapy?
The virtual, if it's virtual through Don Tyson School of Innovation, it will be given virtually. It will be given over a Zoom. It's just kind of like what we did last spring when we had to go remote and we had to go home. And that will be the same type of situation if a school goes remote, if a school has to close down or a grade level has to close down. We will go back to providing the services through Zoom.
Okay, very good. Are there areas that we haven't covered? Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the information you've already shared?
Well, I think that some of the questions people have asked about getting feedback, students' academics for virtual. Again, they'll be assigned teachers. And once they are assigned teachers and once they are assigned a special education teacher who will be different from their math teacher or their science teacher, then those will be contacts that parents will be able to make to see how students are doing and what they're doing in the classes and how they can help them. That's also where they would need to contact if they feel like the student's IEP is not being met, or if a student has a 504 plan and they're not being met, those would be also the people to contact to say, is this happening? Is my student getting these accommodations based on what they have on their IEP? Because the IEPs will still be served regardless of what choice that they make. And the IEP meetings, we are encouraging parents to try to do those by Zoom if possible. We've got a lot of meetings coming up. We've got a lot of assessments that need to happen and some observations that need to happen with the students. So on our IEP meetings, we are going to do as many of them by Zoom as we can. We have electronic signature now, so that is going to help us a lot with our signature pages. If a parent wants to come in and needs to come in and meet face-to-face, we can still do that. But in our reopening of schools, I believe on the school website, district website, it has a section that concerns visitors into the schools that and what they have to do in order to come into the school for meetings to try to keep, not just, I mean, we're trying to keep our teachers safe, our kids safe, and anybody that comes into the school, we want to keep them safe. So we are trying to do what we can there. We talked a little bit, I think, about the mask and the students who can't wear the masks. And someone has asked, will they get in trouble? It's not get in trouble. If the student is incapable for whatever reason, for disability purposes of wearing a mask, no, they're not going to get in trouble. We will just come at that at a different way. And like I said, we will try to teach them, even if it's just for 15 minutes, we will try to teach them how to wear a mask. And I encourage parents, if you got somebody and those masks are ugly and those masks are boring, or they don't like what the school has. I have seen some that are fairly cheap and bedazzle them, get you, find somebody who can do those little sticker glittery things, or find some glue and glitter and stick on there. Whatever the kid wants it to be. If it will help them to wear it, if it will help to train them to wear it, because it will help for their safety. And I know that nobody's intentionally out there. None of our kids or teachers or administrators are intentionally out there spreading COVID. So it would make them feel like they're doing their part, and it won't just be them wearing them. So it's not going to single anybody out, and make them feel odd. We're all going to be wearing them. I have 3 or 4 up here on my desk, in fact.
That's right. You can wear your favorite athletic team. You could wear a
Absolutely.
HAR-BER mask, a Springdale High School mask, a Don Tyson School of Innovation, whatever you choose to do. Very informative, Dr. Harshaw. Thank you very much for visiting with us today. And we hope it's been informative for you as we prepare for school in Springdale Public Schools.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Tara.